Hello everyone and welcome back to the Vco Simmy Awards. It's time to wrap up what's been a crazy 2022 by celebrating you, our Vco community. What's new for this 2022 Simmy Awards, you may wonder? Well, myself, my name is Arjuna Kankipati, delighted to be walking you through the awards that we've got in store for you. Also new, slightly new, is the way that our awards have been handed out. It's very reminiscent of what we did back in 2020 with the inaugural Simmy Awards. 50% of the vote came from you, the VCO community, 50% from our world-class jury. 6 members lending their talents to help us pick our award winners. Let's give them a shout out. Luca Monroe out of Overtake.gg, Tom Harrison Lord from Traction GG, Nathan Quinn out of The Race, David Perel from the SimGrid, Steve Worrell from Sim Racing Grand Prix, and of course, last but not least, Tom Bunton representing Grid Finder. Many talented members were nominated for these VCO Simmy Awards, and that's where you, the community, first came in. The nomination phase, which started back in November, it led directly into the voting phase where more than 5,000 of you voted for a revamped suite of categories that includes the returning Best Oval Racer that will delight those in America, but also the Best Livery, which will have the designers around the world salivating over the idea of their names being popped into the VCO Simmy Award winning hat. Without further ado though, I think it's time that we head into our very first award. Photography is so important to us here at VCO. It started with our VCO content crew back in 2020, delivering images and videos for our teams to be able to use on social media. So many talented photographers have tried their hands at sim racing photography. It allows so much creative expression. And it's time to look at our 5 nominees for 2022.
The nominees in the category Best Photography are Justin Melillo, Rice Carl, Elliot Roberts, Brian Campbell, and Ben22 Racing.
And the Simmy goes to Justin Melillo. So we're joined now by maybe the man on social media to follow if you want to get the latest news in the iRacing World Championship scene. Justin Melillo from Traction GG joins us now as our best photography winner. And Justin, I want to start by talking about the fact that most of the photos that you have to take are very, very quickly put together and then put on social media so people can follow along with the races. How hard is it for you to turn around these images so quickly?
You know, it's become like a second nature to me, Arjuna. It's all the years that I've been doing it, and you know, mostly for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. Those races go really quick. There's always different things happening, and you know that could be said for all of the World Championships. But I've got a pretty neat system down where I can quickly get the pictures in and out, and you know, right onto social media so that people can follow along, and I love seeing people react the way that they do whenever those events are going on. It's always a good time.
Like I said, you are maybe the man to follow for iRacing World Championship news. How much fun do you have following the series and the drivers and being able to tell their stories? Because you really, like I say, are someone that dives into the weeds and really gets to show some of the personalities of the drivers sometimes.
It's you know, it's a lot of fun because sim racing in general is, you know, that it really hasn't met its full potential yet, and to be able to help where I can in growing that and getting more people interested and involved, it's it is really cool to see that go on. You know, more people. I always think back to when the pandemic was happening, and I was throwing out the pictures for the eNASCAR Invitational series that they were running on Fox Sports. There were people commenting. I thought racing was canceled. I thought they weren't racing right now. I thought that they stopped doing that because they thought the pictures were real. And you know, I mean, it's cheesy, and I try to make them as close to as possible to the real thing, but it is really cool to see that, and going and meeting some of these guys. Like I met Casey Kerwin at the eNASCAR championship race, and I met him a couple times before that during media days, and you know, he's a great personality in sim racing, and it was really cool to see him win the championship. And you know, being able to tell his story through my pictures is something that gives me a lot of joy.
I am curious, have you ever dabbled outside of iRacing in taking virtual photography, and what differs between different platforms and different games when you go in there with the aim of taking the best photographs?
So iRacing is definitely my bread and butter. I've been on the iRacing service since 2009, and it's been a, you know, we try to get better and better each time, every photograph, every opportunity. I actually got a new system in the mail, which is gonna get my pictures even better, and that makes me more excited because that's gonna open up my horizons to new games, new simulators that are out there that my current system can't handle. I've loved the visuals that I've seen from games like R Factor 2 and Assetto Corsa Competizione. I've loved seeing things come out of Race Room. GT7 is easy because I have a PlayStation 5 and I've been able to dabble in that a bit, but all the other simulators outside of iRacing, it's been really tough for me because I just haven't had the equipment to be able to do it. And I've been learning different photo systems this year and last year, ever since I started working for Traction. And it's, you know, I can't wait for next year because I'm finally going to have the equipment to be able to continue to branch out more into these different simulators and be more than just the iRacing photo guy.
I do want to ask you mentioned, of course, you are very busy with your work at Traction GG, but one thing that I think you're quite passionate about is the FTF Racing League as well. Talk to us a little bit about that and your involvement with the series.
FTF's been around for, I'd say, it's coming up on 15 years now. We started it as a gag. Me and my friends, Ryan and CJ, we made a team to enter a race that was on NR 2003, NASCAR Racing 2003 season, and we ended up winning, which was really cool. And we stuck with that name when we decided that we want to make our own racing series also on NR 2003, and we've built that up now where FTF is, I would say, one of the top NASCAR racing leagues out there on the iRacing service. We just finished up our 2022 season with, I think we had close to 200 people signed up over the course of the entirety of the season. We had about 150 people try out for our 500 miler to kick off the season at Daytona, and we run the full 36 race schedule that NASCAR runs. It's not the same exact. It's we play around with different tracks and different combinations that iRacing has to offer because it is such a big sandbox, and there are so many different things that you can do in that, you know, in that area. So with FTF, it was really cool to be able to put together a full 36 race season. Last year we did it where we were using multiple cars, where we were using like the NASCAR Gen 6 current car, and we were also using the old 2012 Car of Tomorrow, which was a really cool combination. Different cars worked well at different tracks. This year we kind of just stuck to the next gen, but we would run fun races here and there. Like we would get into the iRacing Dallara IR01 and run what we would call FTF1. That was a good time. And yeah, it's really cool because we get a lot of the eNASCAR support. I'd say we had about a third of the eNASCAR field from 2022 racing in FTF leagues last year. So that was really neat to see. We had Kevin King, who was a former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver. He won our championship for the full season. He's possibly going to be getting back into the series again, depending on the results of the however they score the championship for the contender series. So yeah, it's just been really cool. A lot of people that have been in Coke have also been in FTF before they were in Coke, so it's good to see that progression as well. It's just something I love to do. I love to keep the stats. I love to work together with. I love to race in it too, which is also part of it. You know, like I've been racing in it since we started back in 2008. So FTF is great. I'm loving that people also are loving it as well.
And just a reminder, Justin Miller, the man to follow for all things iRacing World Championship. Congratulations on your Simmy Award for the best photography, but let's take a look at our next category. Our new category for 2022 is Best Livery. Of course, last year we welcomed Juan at iLiveries to our Vco Simmy Award Hall of Fame. And this year we want to celebrate what a talented Vco community that we have out there. Whether it's on iRacing, Assetto Corsa Competizione, or rFactor 2, designers around the world can be creatively free within the world of sim racing to do whatever they want. Let's take a look at our nominees.
Here are the nominees in the category Best Livery. Unicorns of Love, Altus Esports, BS Plus Competition, Williams Esports, and Balas Esports.
And the Simmy goes to the Unicorns of Love. This brand new category first goes to the Unicorns of Love, and team manager, driver, and designer Rene Sievert joins us now. Rene, I think so many fans of sim racing love this Unicorns of Love car. Can you give us a bit of insight into how the design process really went around?
Yeah, so the design process was quite easy first. I mean, we have the design for like 3 years. When we founded the team, the sim racing team, we had the jersey for the League of Legends team for the World Championship in League of Legends, and yeah, our organization thought it would be a great idea to have the design from the jersey on the cars. So we tried to put the pattern on the car, which was not that easy. It looked okay, but I am very harsh to me. So I tried to make a perfect design for it, and it ended up in starting all over again and trying to fit every line onto the car. So the design process in the end was like a bit more difficult, even if we have new cars. So if our drivers like want to try out a new car for like what event so ever, we need to start all over again, because every car is different, and the design is not fitting on every car. So I can't put the design of the car on another car, like from the AMG to the Ferrari. So I start all over again. I take it as a reference and try to make every line unique, which takes a lot of time, to be honest. It's always like 3 or 4 days. I'm working on night for night, and so the design process is from the idea pretty simple, because we just need to take the jersey design, but in the end I like to do a perfect design, and need to tweak a bit of things and the layers of the line. So
You talk about this difficulty of adapting the design, but I was going to ask you, this year, of course, in the VCO Esports Racing League, you've had to jump between different simulators and many different cars as well. How has that challenge been for you as a designer to get the results across different platforms and the different techniques that maybe you need to make the car look spectacular on different simulators?
It's very difficult, to be honest. As I said, I'm not, or my main task is not designing liveries, so I have a lot of passion for designing cars. That's why I like doing the things and take the responsibility for our designs. But as you said, we have a lot of leagues, a lot of events, and also between cross-platform. So we don't have much time. It's a huge challenge to create new designs for cars, especially in the VCO Esports Racing League. That's why we also use the easier design for the Fall Cup, because as I said, it takes a lot of time. But also, I mean, we are coming from ACC, so I know how to work there, how to do these designs there. But iRacing and rFactor 2 were quite new to me. Also with iRacing, with the spec map, I really don't know how they work, to be honest. So it's a huge challenge for me, and I spend a lot of lonely nights creating those liveries. But in the end, I think it's a great challenge, and also the feedback we get, the positive feedback is quite nice. So it's good to have that outcome in the end, and the positive feedback, and it keeps me going, making those liveries, I think.
And with the Unicorns of Love partnership with Mercedes-AMG, it must have been very, very cool to have the official Unicorns of Love livery wrapped on a real Mercedes-AMG GT3 car. What was that like for you when you got to see it in person?
Yeah, first we wanted to do the design we are using in the esports championships, but the idea was coming from Jan Seifert to do like the real design, but we had like limited time, so we couldn't fit our design onto the car. I mean, you need to do a lot of design process to fit it on, and that's why we decided to do the Haupt Racing team design with our colors and our logos. And I mean, having a sim racing livery like on a real car is something very special, and it was a real honor, to be honest, but also a great achievement for us as a team to have like a real car with our colors. And I think also the response from the community was just great. So I'm very grateful for it.
I want to talk about something slightly different. We mentioned the Esports Racing League, but of course the Esports Racing World Cup in 2023 is heading to Arcadia, the home of the Unicorns of Love. Can you tell us a little bit more about this fantastic facility?
Yeah, I mean, it's our home from Unicorns of Love. It's a gaming hotel, and has space for not only people who love gaming, but also people who love esports and want to compete. It has a lot of room for a nice facility for players and teams, and you can play games there, but you can also live there for a couple of days. And we also have like a cool bar where you can have a nice drink and just have a great time. So I think it's a great place to host like event like the VCO World Cup, because teams can come together, compete against each other. There's enough space, and we also can have a great time off the event. And I mean, for sim racing, and especially for me, I'm quite new. I don't had the chance to have like online events. So it's great to have teams coming together and have a great time there in person. So I think Hamburg and the Arcadia is the right place for having this event, and I'm looking very forward to it.
I think we are all looking forward to it. Congratulations, Renee, on what's been a remarkable 2022 for the Unicorns of Love, and your livery has very much captured the attention of the sim racing universe. You are the first winner of this best livery category for the VCO Simmy Awards, but with that said, let's move on to our next category. So many of us spend time consuming sim racing content, whether that's supporting our favorite sim racing teams in the top levels of competition or just cheering on our favorite streamer on an average Friday night race. The best video content category celebrates both, and let's take a look at our nominees.
The nominees in the category Best Video Content are Jimmy Broadbent, Tom, Pablo Lopez, Veloci Esports, and Coanda Esports.
And the Simmy goes to Jimmy Broadbent. Well, Jimmy Broadbent is no longer in a shed, but he found his notoriety on YouTube and has very much made a home for himself in the sim racing world. Jimmy, what a remarkable journey that you've been on with your YouTube channel. Last year when we talked to you, you had just moved into this new home. What's it like producing content in a slightly different environment?
It's been nice. I mean, having space is a cool thing, you know. I mean, I say that. I mean, you look in the background, it looks very, very crowded, but you know, the room that I'm in now is bigger than the entire shed was. So it's been really nice, and I think it's sort of helped to the creativity sort of increase somewhat. I'm not just you know, sort of stuck in that same place, and it's interesting what a changing environment can do for you.
You mentioned the trophies behind you, and you've had a bit of a shift in content for 2022, venturing out into the real world. It's been fun for the whole sim racing community to follow your journey, not just in the Praga Cup, of course, but in that fabulous Miata on some track days as well. But as a content creator, what's it like for you with a slightly different approach to production as you bring your fans, along for the journey?
It's been very different. It's been kind of challenging, you know, because when you're filming from home, you can be lazy as you want. You can just like turn the camera, bam, done, sorted. But when you're out, you know, filming properly, you tend to only get one shot at doing something. So you have to make sure it's done right. But yeah, it's been, you know, a privilege to be able to be racing again this year. Obviously, it's a very unique position to be in, and the biggest joy for me is bringing people along with me, because I remember what it was like being on the outside of it and just wanting more than anything to be on the inside. Now that I'm there, I'm gonna cling on for dear life and hope that I can expose as many people as possible to the awesome world that is racing.
Well, one thing that you've done this year to expose more of the sim racing world is a bit more reaction style videos. How much fun do you have being able to kick back, relax, and let other people do the hard work of creating content while you sometimes just go and roast them?
Yeah, I mean, I do like doing that kind of content. I don't like doing it too often because, as you say, it does feel quite lazy. You just sort of sit back and, yeah, cool, there you go. But I think it's a really nice way to show off, you know, sort of the wider sim racing world, because if people watch my channel, they're going to watch just like a certain sort of video, a certain sort of, you know, a certain style. And seeing other people get involved and seeing their struggles and whatnot, I think is very relatable, you know, for me and for people watching as well. So it is fun to do, but as I said, I don't like to do it too much, because I think that you can fall into this trap of just doing that sort of content, and then where's the originality anymore? It's gone. But they're fun every now and then.
One thing I'm quite jealous of what you've done at the end of this year is some more live commentary as part of the Gran Turismo World Tour. What's it like being back on site in Monaco and being part of that entire circus?
Oh, I love the little Gran Turismo family. You know, I've been with them now since 2018, and to see how the show's just evolved and got bigger and bigger names getting involved. I mean, we had a Ferrari reveal at at the Monaco thing. And I remember our first the first show I did was in a warehouse in Uxbridge, so it was quite a different move from there. But it's always amazing. You know, I love racing in any form, and I love commentating as well. I don't do it as much as I used to do it because I'm busy on my own content, but I love doing it. And as you'll know as well, it's just you really get swept up in the races, and GT never fails to perform. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can put up next year.
Jimmy, your remarkable journey has been documented on your YouTube channel, and it's been a pleasure for us to follow along, and your fans have voted you in as the best video content once again. But let's move on to our next category. What makes a car the best car? Is it being fun? Is it sounding great? Is it looking spectacular? Another complication is maybe a car drives slightly differently on the different simulators. You've been able to tell us what you think your favorite car of 2022 is. In a sea of many new cars across the platforms, let's take a look at our nominees.
The nominees in the category Best Car are Dallara P217 LMP2 iRacing, Porsche 911 GT3R, Assetto Corsa Competizione, Mercedes-AMG Evo GT3, Assetto Corsa Competizione, BMW M4 GT3 iRacing, and BMW M2 CS Racing, Assetto Corsa Competizione.
And the Simmy goes to iRacing and the Dallara P217 LMP2 car. So after winning the best platform in 2020 and 2021, iRacing returns to the Vco Simmy Awards, this time in the best car category with the Dallara LMP2. Kevin Bobbitt joins us, the Director of Marketing. And Kevin, what does this mean for iRacing to continue to be recognized in our Vco Simmy Awards?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us again, and thanks for recognizing iRacing. It's fantastic to be part of this show again. The Simmies have grown over the last few years, becoming much more exciting for the community, and for us to win another award is fantastic. We're gonna have to build a new shelf in the office, so looking forward to that. And you know, I think this really shows this category that, you know, we are very focused on the content, the cars. We want to build cars that the community enjoys, and I think we hit a winner here.
And I think this was a car that was so significant when it released as well, because it was the arrival of a modern prototype, replacing that HPD that had been around for so very long. Of course, that was one significant reason why drivers have loved it so much, but why do you think fans have connected with this car so much?
Well, that's a great question, but I think the car is, it's a driver's car, right? So it's obviously a modern car, but it's not a car that has all kinds of different controls and things that you need to learn. You drive the car, put your foot down and go. It's got a lot of grip, a lot of downforce. It's just fun to race in, and ultimately that's what racers and sim racers want, right? Is a car that they can just get in and have fun. You don't have to read a 80-page manual to figure out how different electronic controls work or things like that. So I think that's what appeals to people so much.
The connection between iRacing and Dallara is a very close connection. We have plenty of real-world cars, of course, in our service, but the Dallara IR01 was a fantasy car that so many enjoyed as well. How important is it to iRacing to continue to have close collaborations and relationships with manufacturers like Dallara?
Another great question, and that's part of the foundation of iRacing is building cars with manufacturers or tracks with track owners. That's how you get things as realistic as possible. And Dallara is one of our oldest partners. We've been working with them for as long as I can remember on all types of cars, open wheel cars, prototypes. There's other cars in the works, right? And we have a great working relationship. We understand each other. They understand the sim racing space. They understand how much data we need, and there's a trust as well. And they know that they can trust us with the data, and we'll use it in good faith, and get their brand out there represented. So we love working with Dallara, and other manufacturers. They're not the only one, but they are certainly one of the best partners we have for many, many years.
And this close relationship with Dallara and a close relationship with BMW as well has meant that iRacing has entered the GTP evolution before those cars have even hit the track in the real world. How interesting and how difficult a challenge is it for the team at iRacing to build a car in the virtual world that hasn't competed in the real world yet?
Well, it is challenging, but with a partner or partners like BMW and Dallara, it certainly makes it easier, right? So both parties were willing to share data along the way, with us knowing that some things might change along the way as well. So we have to work together and say, okay, well, let's go this way, and now, okay, well, maybe this will change a little bit. But capturing sound at one of their test sessions, for example, when they're at, I think they're at Watkins Glen, we were able to send our sound guys out there and work with them and do that along the way as they're learning about the car. So they were willing to work with us, willing to help us out. But it allows us to get the car built early. I mean, people are racing that new GTP car on iRacing before it hits the track for real. I mean, it's been on the track for testing, but there hasn't been an official race yet. There will be in just over a month at Daytona, so that's super exciting. But we couldn't do it without partners like Dallara and BMW, and we built the M4 GT3 car, kind of a similar process. I guess that was about a year and a half ago, something like that. So we learned some things. Again, built some trust with BMW. So it continues, and that's how we get access to these things. It's a collaboration, and it helps. I think it helps the constructors as well to get these cars out early and get them in front of fans, right? Sim racers are, I think, race fans first, right? That's why they do sim racing, right? So to be able to get these cars early is fantastic. Years ago, it was a car would be built, and then 2 years later, we could get some data. So, and that still works, and it sometimes happens, but when we can get in front of it, it's much more exciting for the community.
It has been an interesting year for iRacing as well. A couple of rather interesting acquisitions, including a fan favorite, I think, for many, the iSchedule app, which is now the official iRacing mobile app, but the release of the World of Outlaws console game as well. For racing fans of all types, whether they are hardcore sim race or a more casual gamer, iRacing is starting to offer a lot more options for these enthusiasts. What can these fans look forward to as well as we look further down the road for the team at iRacing?
Well, sounds like you're looking for some inside information, which I can't give you all the details, but I can say we plan to do more titles like that, right? It's been very well received. It gets us into a new space, right, on the console, which has a variety of players, like you say, some less kind of hardcore than a sim racer that you might find on iRacing, but also some people that maybe enjoy that and want to go to the next level. And they say, okay, I love this World of Outlaws game on console. What else is there? And you might see some iRacing branding within that game, and maybe they'll say, oh, what is this? Let me check out what iRacing's about. And it is the next level, right? It's not the same game. The World of Outlaws dirt game on console is not just iRacing for console. It's different. It is made more casual. It's more approachable. You can play it with a controller versus a wheel and pedal and all that. It's super fun, but you can jump in it and start winning some races right away. My experience in iRacing is that you don't win your first race. I've been doing this a long time, and it takes a while to get up to speed. And for me on dirt, it takes a really long time to get up to speed. But I think you'll see us creating more titles like that in the space, and hopefully we'll see some crossover of people moving up into the sim racing space and growing the sim racing community, which I think is good for everybody.
It's a very exciting time to be a sim racing fan, that is for sure. Thanks for joining us, Kevin. Congratulations on your 3rd Simmy Award for the team over there at iRacing. Let's take a look, though, at our next category. Best Team category has been dominated by Team Redline so far through the course of the VCO Simmy Awards. But what makes a good team? Is it performances on one simulator? Is it adaptability across the platforms, like we've seen in the VCO Esports Racing League? Fundamentally, it comes down to a solid group of drivers coordinated on the same mission, working well together. Let's take a look at our nominees.
The nominees in the category Best Team are Team Redline, Veloci Esports, Apex Racing Team, Unicorns of Love, and BS Plus Competition.
And the Simmy goes, for the third time in a row, because you guys voted them once again, to Team Redline. It's been a very successful year for Team Redline, both in the world of VCO Esports, but of course all around the sim racing world, and they collect their second Team of the Year award for 2022. Atzi Kirchhoff, director at Team Redline, joins us now. And Atzi, I mean, what a roller coaster of a year it must have been, and what a way to cap off many, many championships with 2 Team of the Year awards.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you very much for everyone who decided on the prize. We're very honored, of course, to be for the second time Team of the Year. We worked really hard for it, and indeed it has been quite a roller coaster.
It started off really well as well. Going back to the start of 2022, you grabbed 2 championships in the Le Mans Virtual Series, as well as a double victory at Le Mans itself. How did that kick off the momentum for you guys as you began the calendar year?
Yeah, well, the Le Mans race, of course, was also the final race of the season, basically, because yeah, it was the final round of the virtual Le Mans series, and yeah, we had to wrap it up there. That is the main race of the year for us at this point. So yeah, everything was about winning there in GTE, of course, to get the win with our partners BMW. And yeah, for myself as well, I was driving, it was my last race basically in the LMP2, and even though we unfortunately didn't win as a team, our teammates of Team Redline did, and yeah, it was a wonderful way to kick off the year basically. Yeah.
And of course, right after that, just a few weeks later, you went on to become the very first Esports Racing World Cup champions. And I think that's one thing that marks Team Redline a step above maybe the rest of the sim racing world. You guys have strong drivers across all of the simulators, and even someone like Enzo Benito has proved in the Esports Racing League, no matter what car, no matter what simulator he's in, he's one of the fastest in the world.
Yeah, definitely. And the sim racing scene, where it was first very biased to iRacing, R Factor is becoming bigger now, with the virtual Le Mans series, of course, and then now sims like ACC, but even Race Room, we were active last year, and yeah, it's a big challenge to have everything lined up for all these different platforms, all these different competitions. And our drivers, luckily, we have many drivers who are very good across multiple platforms, and some are very specialized for certain platforms. So yeah, we need to change a bit around the lineups to make sure that every race we have a good lineup again, and a strong lineup that can go for the win. Yeah, that is a big challenge, and every time we are not sure if everyone is fully prepared and has the full focus on that certain competition. And yeah, of course, we prioritize certain competitions above the other. But yeah, this year it went really well. We have still a big step to go. We can do much better than what we did this year. But let's enjoy the moment for now, and look back on what we achieved with pride.
One thing that I think many in the sim racing world are looking forward to seeing is the Team Redline facility that we talked a little bit about earlier in the year when you and I had chatted on one of the iRacing broadcasts. What can you tell us about the updates on that team facility in the Netherlands?
Yeah, we never have really been about, we never really showed it off yet. It is a nice facility. We have, for example, Kevin Sick, he's driving here already for a year full time in the office. Yeah, the office is amazing. Like we have everything we need there. It looks very shiny. At some point we will make a good video to show it off properly. But yeah, now we are all settled, and it's very nice to be in here every day outside the F1 season, and to just relax enjoy this office where we have multiple sims, we have professional simulators to train professional drivers, but also GT drivers. So yeah, we have everything we need, and it's like heaven for sim races basically.
I think the rest of the sim racing world's going to be a bit scared about the fact that you're already looking forward to doing more in 2023. Congratulations on a great 2022, Atse. We're very excited about what the next year holds in store for Team Redline. But with that said, let's take a look at our next category. It's been a crazy year at the top level of competitive esports, with so many sim racers bouncing from competition to competition. However, the beauty of sim racing is in its accessibility to drivers of all skill levels and to drivers of all different types of motorsports. Let's take a look at our 5 nominees for Best Event in 2022.
The nominees in the category Best Event are Le Mans Virtual Series, NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, Formula One Esports Series, Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, and VCO Infinity.
And the Simmy goes to the Le Mans Virtual Series. It is the second time that the Le Mans Virtual Series is recognized in our Vco Simmy Awards, and we're joined by the CEO at LMVS, Gerard Neveu. Gerard, it's been a crazy ride, I think, for you since 2020, jumping into the virtual sphere. How do you look back on the way the series has grown compared to back in 2020?
First of all, hello, pleasure to see you, Arjuna, and all the fans following us, and a big honor for us to receive this award again. You're right, it has been a big challenge, because the fact is that in 2020 we were in a very specific situation, a very special one, with the lockdown, the COVID, the situation that everybody remember, and we did something very special. Then the question was, can we do it again after, if the situation is back to the regular condition? And it was really a challenge, and finally we discovered that we had already a community with a large number of people following us, a super group of competitors, and there is really a stage for that for long term. So we decided to maintain the program. We have just made some adaptation, of course, because no lockdown. So in this case, you have so many activities. As you know, probably we have a mix between racer and gamers, so we have to consider all the different calendar, which is always very challenging. But we have decided to continue to develop the program, and I think it was the right decision, if we consider the award we received from your side, but also regarding the audience that we are doing for each round.
And you talk about it, but I think part of why you have such a big audience is the world-class production, both from the broadcast side, but the commentary team as well, bringing experts from the real and virtual world together. And it's a huge operation live in Paris, at least in 2022, for the 24 hours Le Mans Virtual. What can we look forward to as we look forward to another 24-hour spectacular at the start of January?
The first main reason why we have such a big audience is probably the quality of the paddock. I call this the paddock, I mean the grid. We have amazing competitors, probably the top gamers you can find in the world on sim racing category, and we have the drivers, the racer, having interest for motorsport, for esports. I mean, for example, people like Max Verstappen or Romain Grosjean having a huge career, but at the same time, there's a huge interest for esport. And when we see what Max is doing with the sim racing, it's totally impressive, because he's fighting with the best gamers. And I have to say that the quality of the show they are producing themselves on the track is something very spectacular, and they make an interest for all the followers. And you're right, the second reason is probably the very high quality of the broadcast and production team located in Silverstone with the Le Mans Esports Series and Motorsport Games. I have to say that the people behind Darren Clark, behind Lewis Edmondson, behind Peter Turner are the people who are doing an amazing job. There is a group of between 50 and 60 people working all together with this production during all the season. And the last, not the least, the platform we are using also, the Studio 397 and the Air Factor 2 platform, is providing us also fantastic pictures with really a good quality of game.
As we look forward to future editions of Le Mans, I think the one thing that drivers and fans will be excited about is that there's a big shift in the real world that will be reflected in the virtual as well, with the arrival of the hypercar and GT3s taking center stage at the Circuit de la. How excited are you about seeing how that transpires in the virtual world?
So at this moment, this is in the, I would say, in the engineer box, not in ours at this moment, not in ours already. They are working on the development of the hypercar, for example. So I saw last year the first pictures of the Peugeot hypercar, for example. Very exciting, but this is for next year. In between, we have the Le Mans Virtual 24 Hours 22, which will be held early beginning in January on 14 and 15. Don't miss the date. This is really interesting. Very easy to follow the event. Will be on live streaming, very easy access. And this is a big satisfaction to see that we already have people like company like Peugeot, like Mercedes, like Ferrari, like Porsche, like Aston Martin. All of them are already involved with us, like Alpine. So all the top manufacturers are already involved in this competition. The top team also like Veloce, like Redline, like Race Clutch, like RAG, all the top eSport team are already involved also. So we will have a fantastic grid, and it will be the last one, I will say, before the arrival of the new platform. So very interesting, because we saw during the regular season how much the cars stay very close together, because the BOP is working very well, because the level of the performance is very high, and it provides us super race during the regular season. So we are very confident to say that Le Mans should be something very spectacular in January this year, and this is the best way to finish the year and to celebrate and to start a new one. And you're right, the next target after this one will be the arrival of the new grid with the new car model that we will find in sports car and in endurance.
As we think about the ways that Le Mans Virtual compares to the real world, you bring so much experience, of course, with the WEC. I'm very curious what some of the unique challenges that you found of producing Le Mans Virtual Series at such a high level.
It's very interesting, because you have to admit the world is changing every day, fortunately, which is a good point. And we need to find always a way to capture the new generation of fans. And I think that if you stay just with the traditional cook you did 20 years ago, it's not necessarily the right code you have to use. And the eSport is probably one to touch, to have access, to reach the new generation, the people having interest to play game as soon as they are kids. And this is a good point. The second thing is, this sim racing technology is very used by the racers themselves. They are doing all the training, all the selection with that. We start to see now that for the most important selection of the driver in the world, they are using first the sim racing, then they jump in the car. So it's really interesting to work with this. And I have to tell you one thing, I'm probably the oldest man in this team. And all the people working around are very fascinating for me. This is young people. They are playing very hard, but they are very clever. They have a good vision. They have good spirit, and this is always a big pleasure. And the fact that we share and we mixed driver and gamers, TV broadcaster and eSport broadcaster, a game producer and sport producer together, it's something really interesting, because at the end we exchange all of different point of view and we try to produce a single product. So this is something really really fascinating. It helps you to stay in live and young, I have to say.
Le Mans Virtual is, if not one of the pinnacles, the pinnacle in the world of sim racing, and we are delighted to be able to honor it in our VCO Simmy Awards. Congratulations, Gerard. Cannot wait to see what the 24 Hours of Le Mans Virtual in 2023 looks like. But now, let's take a look at our next category.
Thank you very much.
in our 2021 Vco Simmy Awards, we listened to you, our VCO community, and added a brand new category, Best Oval Racer. We're delighted to bring it back for 2022 because what a year of oval racing has been. Whether you look at the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, which delivered so much excitement with so many different winners, or even the likes of the iRacing Indianapolis 500 bringing drama all the way to the end of the race. It's been an electric year of oval racing, and despite the fact that some people think all you've got to do is turn left, these 5 nominees show it's a difficult discipline to master.
In the category Best Oval Racer, the nominees are Casey Kerwin, Bobby Zielinski, Steven Wilson, Michael Cosi Jr., and Presley Sora.
And the Simmy goes to Casey Kerwin. We're joined now by the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion Casey Kerwin, who is our best oval racer for 2022. Casey, let's talk a little bit first about that in-person finale when you went on to become a world champion. What was that emotion like being in front of so many people and around your family?
Yeah, it was crazy. Obviously, we've never had any sort of event like that where we were racing at a location before. And of course, it being the finale with everything on the line was, yeah, it was crazy for sure, but it was really cool. I think just the NASCAR Hall of Fame in general is a really cool place to be in the middle of that. Was already really special, and then, yeah, obviously having the finale there with all the people and everyone I know. I was a bit lucky with being local, so I had a bit more ease with family and friends and everything to get there. So. Yeah, it was super cool, and the environment was, you know, you normally don't have much of an atmosphere really at home when you're racing. You know, there's no like, you know, you and your buddies that you're talking to are like hyped, but you know when it's 100, 200 couple people there celebrating with you when it all happened was super cool, and yeah, the stuff you can't really, nothing that's the same unless you're at an in-person event like that.
One thing that I think is quite unique about you though, Casey, is of course you're somewhat used to having people watching you, of course, on Twitch, and they've been able to follow you along with some of your World Championship rides as well and see some of the dramatic moments that you've had, including last year locking yourself back into the series as well. How much fun do you have getting on Twitch and interacting with your community?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think it's funny, I always said, like, I used to not really, I've been streaming now for basically 4 years, and I used to not really race a whole lot. Well, I made a race a good bit, but not a ton unless I was kind of like doing it with friends or whatever. And then after I started streaming, I just, you know, it's kind of like you're just hanging out with a bunch of friends, racing, talking about everything the whole time. And obviously to share the World Championship stuff with everyone has been a lot of fun. To have that support's pretty insane, especially, you know, in the races when we're running really well, especially like this year, we'll have a lot of people in there celebrating or supporting, and of course if we win, it's a big celebration, which is just, it's super cool to share that with a bunch of people. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Also, the streaming stuff's gotten me, you know, more into road racing more and more every year as well, so it's fun to kind of jump into new things and share all the different experiences that you can have on iRacing and stuff with everyone. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of commentating on you, never in NASCAR, but basically in every other sort of a car. How much fun do you have being able to go out and explore some of the other things in the world of iRacing, especially because you are one of the faster drivers on the roadside of iRacing as well, and you're nominated as part of our Best Esports Racer category as well?
Yeah, it's been super fun. I think, I mean, growing up, I really only ever watched NASCAR. We watched, like, Monaco before Indy. That was about it for like anything outside of NASCAR, and the Rolex we would watch. But really up until probably 4 years ago, I really never did much else or paid attention to much else. I started getting into F1 a little bit, which kind of piqued my interest in doing a bit more road. And then really, I started getting into the IMSA stuff, and IMSA is kind of my favorite thing with all the multi-class chaos and everything. And even like real life now, IMSA is like my favorite thing to watch. It's all been super cool, and it's just different, different ways of racing, different, techniques with driving, and just different circuits. I think, oval is very fun in a racing aspect, but kind of just driving laps sometimes isn't the most fun, depending on the oval. We do have a couple of cookie cutters that are all kind of the same, roughly, when you're just driving by yourself. So doing road and having all the different types of stuff to learn, and different tracks and stuff, it definitely keeps you on your toes. And like I feel like things I take from road help me on the oval side, and things I take from oval help me on the road side. So I think just anything, there's so many different things you can learn from both of them that I think just kind of help you get better and just have more experience as a whole.
You, of course, have a great relationship with your team over at XSET Esports, but I kind of want to ask about that major change that we saw at the start of this year, moving over to the number 95, Mr. Lightning McQueen.
Yes. Yeah, it was, I've always been a big fan of the Cars movie. Whenever, like I said, I kind of been a NASCAR fan my whole life. I think the movie came out when I was around like 6 or 7. I was already into NASCAR, so it kind of just went hand in hand. And I've enjoyed the movies, just kind of grew up with it. So it's always just kind of been a joke ever since I started streaming. And normally, when you get on a team, especially with some sort of like NASCAR affiliation, you're going to be in whatever numbers they have. And even last year, my first year with XSET, I was in the 38 because Anthony Alfredo, who's with us, was in the 38 in the Cup Series at the time. And then at the end of the year, he was switching numbers and going back to Xfinity. And he was in the 23. 23 is not available with 2311. So we're just like, let's just find a number. And my number one number growing up was the 14, which thankfully I was in at the start of my career from Tony Stewart. But obviously that's still taken by another team. And so we were just like, why not just go full into the 95? And especially with the first, we were doing the Clash at the LA Coliseum to kind of kick the year off as an exhibition, and they'd raced in the Cars World LA Coliseum in the movie, so we thought it would be pretty fitting. And obviously it kicked off with winning in the Clash, and then was a good year and ended with the championship. So I think it was a good move.
It was a very successful year for you, Casey, here in 2022. Congratulations on your eNASCAR title. Congratulations on the Simmy as well. But let's take a look at our next category. Social media is a place where you can interact with your favorite drivers and teams, and where they get to have a little bit more of a personality, sometimes at the expense of themselves. We've had 5 fantastic nominees that have delighted you all on social media. Let's take a look at them.
Here are the nominees in the category Best Social Media. Jimmy Broadbent, Jadier, Overtake.gg, BS Plus Competition, and Unicorns of Love.
And the Simmy goes to Jimmy Broadbent. We've already talked to Jimmy Broadbent today, but it's the 3rd year in a row that he walks away with the Best Social Media category in the Vco Simmy Awards. Jimmy, why do you think your fans enjoy following you, not just, of course, on YouTube, but across of the various social medias?
I think they just like memes, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I've always thought that social media is, for me, it's just a place just to post whatever I feel like. There's no potential theme or anything like that. So, I don't know. I guess keeping it loose. I don't know. I didn't expect to win this again. So.
I think one thing, Jimmy, that people appreciate that you do on social media is you help out the community. And I think one community-driven endeavor that we've seen in the last 12 months is Sim Racing Grand Prix. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh yeah, SGP. I mean, SGP has been something that we've been working on for a long time. Myself and the guys over there, Steve and everyone there. And the whole idea there is to give people a way to race online that isn't particularly maybe through a paid service, so people can jump into any race in any game and have that same functionality as something the same as maybe iRacing, but in a set of course or in ACC or in Race Room. We're looking at other sims as well, so it's been really exciting working on that because I love every sim. I'm not really dedicated to one, so it's good to see more of them get more attention and also have a little bit of a role in steering how we do that. So for me, as someone who's the first word I used to describe myself is probably incompetent. It's been nice trying not to be incompetent with SGP. So
social media is all about the community, and your community has really rallied around what is now an annual event, your 23 Hours of Zolder. And this year you marked £200,000 raised in the for mental health. How important has that event been for you, especially given your background and your history with mental health?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it a few times in various places, but for me, this is the most important event that I do as a YouTuber. It's more important than any of the racing videos I put out, or more important than any streaming I do. Those things are pale in comparison. I mean, it's also why I'm sitting here right now looking really funky with this hair. But so I mean, the actual figure is close to about 220 grand we've raised over the 4 years for Minds. And as you said, for someone who's sort of been down that rabbit hole myself and had my own mental problems that still persist today, but now, with the sort of proper treatment, I can have a better handle on. I think it's so important to let people know that they're heard, that they aren't alone in that situation, and charities like mine really help in that endeavor. So long as I have a platform to do it, I'm always going to champion people like Mind and mental health awareness, and long may the race live. Hopefully, maybe we'll be here in another couple of years saying that we've raised $500,000. But yeah, I'm going to try and keep it going as long as possible.
Jimmy, the fact that you won this award 3 years in a row, I think, shows how your community supports you on social media, and it marks 5 Simmy Award wins in our 3 years. Congratulations on what's been another momentous 2022, but let's move on to our next category with a special guest host. To move to our next category, we get rid of Arjuna because, well, fortunately for him, he is nominated. My name is Jamie McDonald, and commentary is all about getting you, the fans, closer and more engaged with the racing action. It's about making you feel the tension, feel the energy of the drivers behind the wheel, and telling their stories. It requires great knowledge of racing, but of course, a great relationship with teams and drivers as well. It comes down to 3 simple things. Commentators must inform, they must delight, and they must excite. Let's take a look at our 5 nominees.
In the category Best Commentary, the nominees are Lewis McGlade, Arjuna Kalkipati, James Parfit, Luke Crane, and Paul Jeffrey.
And the Simmy goes to Lewis McGlade. We're joined by Lewis McGlade, a 2-time VCO Simmy Award winner. And Lewis, I know you're very delighted that Arjuna's not here and you get Jamie McDonald instead. What does it mean, though, to be a 2-time Simmy Award winner now with so much background in the sim racing commentary business?
I mean, it's a great honour, right, to have won it for a second time after it got stolen last year. That Arjuna guy, he stole it from me, he robbed it. But don't worry, it's come home. It's all good. No,
unlike the honestly, World Cup.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. It's fine. We're not talking about that at all. Not salty. No, it's it's been great. Of course, again, it shows that level of support that we've got from the sim racing community, all of us as commentators, and then even sort of outside of that, we've all got support networks, whether it's family or friends, or even from other jobs. Like I say, I work in a restaurant. I've brought up a few times through broadcast this year, and there was someone there, Desi. She told me in 2020 that I was going to win, and then I won. And she didn't say anything last year, and then this Arjuna guy stole it from me. But she told me this year I was going to win, so I won. So maybe she's the real Mystic Meg, and it's not me anymore.
Yes. This is, though, a significant year for you, Lewis, because you got to branch out and do some real-world commentary in the form of GB3 and GB4. How much fun was it for you to be in a real commentary booth and commentating on some real race cars?
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable to have made that step. It was very hard for the first couple of rounds, I'll say that. But, especially going out into the final rounds of that season. I miss it. I can't wait for next year. All things fingers crossed and all that. It was so much fun being in the commentary booth, working with Piers, who's a fantastic, not only driver, but was a fantastic co-commentator. Probably my favourite person to work with. But no, he's a lot of fun in the commentary booth. John Jackson, who's our presenter as well. We had a lot of fun, and all of the drivers. I've got to say, I always thought that motorsport drivers are all going to be a bit up themselves, but no, everyone was really, really nice, really, really approachable, and I made a lot of great friends from doing that. And then just the experience of talking about one of the forefront of junior motorsport that's on that career ladder, even all the way up to Formula One. It's a fantastic thing to speak about this new young talent that ends up cropping up in sim racing a lot as well.
To go back to sim racing, though, I think one thing that is quite significant about you, Lewis, is you commentate on all the simulators at the top level. How difficult is it for you to jump between the different simulators and get up to speed with that commentary rhythm?
Less difficult now. When like I've said before, when I first started working with you, when we jumped over onto iRacing, those first few broadcasts that I did on ACC, they're difficult. They are very difficult to make those transitions. Whereas now, when you've done we've worked on so many broadcasts between our faculty, between iRacing, between a set of courses of Competizione, and then a couple of other ones in between. I do bits on Race Room, and then with Wrenchsport on the horizon. There's a lot of different platforms. You have to understand the quirks, not only of the simulator itself, of how it drives, how it battles, how all the connections and stuff all work. Then you've got to get to grips with the overlays, with what timing screens you may or may not have, and then of course the different driving communities, because we see a lot these days where it's the same teams driving all over the place with different drivers. Sometimes it is the same drivers, and learning the quirks and nuances of all of that is pretty difficult. But I think that's what makes it so much fun to be so diverse in this sim racing world that's constantly growing.
What are you looking forward to then in 2023 as we move forward and sim racing continues to grow, and you now have 2 Simmy Awards sitting next to your commentary setup?
Yeah, I certainly do. I'm gonna pick one up at least. There we go. There's one.
Go.
There we go. There's the second one if you really want. It's fine. But no, the for next year, obviously everything kicks off in January. We've got Le Mans Virtual, the third running of Le Mans Virtual, which I literally cannot wait for. I'm so excited. It's going to be such a fun race. And of course, that event that we're all looking forward to here in VCO with the Esports Racing World Cup 2, where we're all going to be off to Germany. Again, there's so many things in the early part of the year. WTCR Esports Championship, and then you kind of sat there, obviously GB3, GB4 again, and thinking about what's going to happen for the rest of the year. And I've got a few things planned. Obviously, I can't say too much here and now. But as we know quite well, with the sim racing community, same as the motorsport world, is that things come up very, very, very last minute. And I'm always kind of excited to see what those things are going to be, because it's kind of like, oh right, we'll go and do that then. That sounds like fun. I've not done anything this weekend, and it's those kind of bits that I'm super excited for as well. But there is a lot planned for the new year.
I'll just say, Lewis, personally, it's been a pleasure working with you over the last 2 years. I think you are the most worthy of the winners. I learned so much from you when I work alongside, and I know how much you help some of the young commentators as well. So thank you so much for all that you do for our little sim racing community. Congratulations on another Simmy Award. But let's head over to our next category. There has never been a more competitive sim racing scene. We are Truly blessed to have so many top-level drivers at the peak of their powers, and across of all the different disciplines and across of all the different platforms. You somehow whittled it down to 5 for our best esports racer. Let's take a look at the nominees.
The nominees in the category Best Esports Racer are James Baldwin, Casey Kerwin, Lucas Blakely, Josh Rogers, and Enzo Bonito.
And the Simmy goes to James Baldwin. It's our third different winner in this category in as many years, but James Baldwin already has a 2022 Esports Racer of the Year award to add to his Vco Simmy Award collection now. And James, it's been a successful year for you, of course, again, winning a SRO championship, a win in the Le Mans Virtual Series, and of course, at the end of the year, the FIA Motorsports Games. How do you look back on 2022 and reflect?
It's been a crazy year. The first half of the year was very... it weren't great because the results weren't really coming. We got very unlucky in a few races like Le Mans Virtual where we ran out of fuel, E-Rock where I basically bottled my lap and it cost me the championship there. So yeah, the second half of the year was a different story though. Loads of like wins and a few championships and stuff that were quite unexpected. Yeah, well, I mean, what a year. And to get this award is like a massive honor. I mean, the talent in sim racing is huge. So to be, you know, amongst the names is one thing, but yeah, to win it, just crazy.
And of course, you got the opportunity to stack back behind the wheel of a real race car, driving at the 24 Hours of Spa. How much fun was that for you? Also getting to do some esports racing as part of the SRO competition.
Yeah, that, to be honest, that's the highlight of the year. Driving a GT3 around Spa at the night as well, in the night, sorry. But yeah, a crazy experience, once in a lifetime. Hopefully not though, hopefully I can do it again. The esports bit of that as well was very unique, racing the real drivers you know, at an event, competing for prize money and actual championship points for the teams in the championship was, yeah, very unique, and I'm happy I could provide value for Garage 59 on that particular weekend, winning the race. Yeah, that was the highlight of the year, Spa 24 Hour.
So what are you looking forward to then in 2023? You said a bit of a turnaround in form after a struggle in the first half. I'm sure the first thing you're looking forward to is heading back to Le Mans Virtual in January and hoping to get to the top of the checkered flag.
Yes, definitely. That's yeah, that it'd be great to win that. I think because I'm doing it with Mercedes this time around. It'll be a different story. I think we'll be definitely running at the front. If we can win, there's a high chance we'll come away with the championship as well. So that'd be the perfect way to start the year, and then just get into it really. I mean, sim racing and esports is so fluid. I can't tell you what I'm going to be doing next year really, or hopefully there's some real racing as well. But I know it's going to be a good year whatever. So yeah.
I think one thing that I've really enjoyed personally, James, is being able to follow some of your esports competitions after the fact with you talking about the races. What's that like for you going back and watching back these races and sharing it with your community?
It's good, yeah. I like streaming as much as possible these races. I've tried to build like the gaming setup in my room, so using a capture card and stuff so I don't lose frames, so I can basically compete at the same level I would streaming or not streaming. And yeah, looking back at the streams and stuff, it's good to make content from it obviously and share it with people, but it's also good just to watch it back and see how it went, you know, because sometimes in the moment your memory gets a bit blurred from what actually happened. And so yeah, I'll try and do more of that next year, streaming the important esports races, because I think ultimately that's what people really want to see. So yeah.
Well, congratulations on what's been a mega 2022. Can't wait to see what's in store for you in 2023. But now let's take a look at our final category of our 2022 Vco Simmy Awards. one final order of business, and that is our Vco Simmy Award Hall of Fame. Back in 2020, we inaugurated the Hall of Fame by welcoming Jimmy Brockbent to our inaugural class, while 12 months ago, Juan iLiveries joined Jimmy in the Hall of Fame. This year, we welcome someone legendary to the Hall of Fame. Those in recent sim racing memories may not necessarily remember this driver, but 5 iRacing World Championships, 50 iRacing World Championship wins, including an almost perfect season, illustrate why this driver will go down in the history books as one of the most dominant in iRacing history. In 2022, we welcome Gregor Hutu to our Vco Simmy Award Hall of Fame. A true Hall of Famer is Gregor Hutu the Flying Finn with 5 iRacing World Championships and 50 iRacing World Championship wins. And he joins us now, our newest Hall of Famer in the Vco Simmy Awards. Gregor, we haven't seen too much of you recently in the sim racing universe, but your history is vast and you are being recognized for all that you've done now in the sim racing world. How does it feel to you looking back on all the amazing things that you've had the opportunity to do?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been a bit quiet for me the last couple of years or so. So, yeah, seems like a long time ago since since I was active and winning some races. So, but yeah, it's nice to get this recognition, and yeah, nice to be here, I guess.
So many people know you, of course, from those iRacing World Championships and the open wheelers. But I think the thing that most intrigued me about your background in sim racing is you didn't start necessarily in open wheelers. You did a lot of NASCAR racing back in the day.
Yeah, well, I think my first proper sim was GPL, Grand Prix Legends, which was, of course, open wheel stuff. That was like historic open wheelers from 1967, so that was my first proper sim. But then, yeah, I think in 2002 I went to do some NASCAR just for to have a change of pace, and yeah, that was something different. I think NASCAR is more like tactical, strategic, bit of luck involved and stuff like that. So yeah, I did that for quite a few years, and it was a different kind of challenge, so it was pretty fun as well.
One thing I want to ask you about is how it felt for you, of course, after winning so many world championships in that Williams FW31, having to make the transition over to a very different machine in that McLaren Formula One car as the iRacing Grand Prix World Championship made a major evolution, so much setup development that you had to work through as well. How did you find that transition jumping into a brand new car?
Yeah, I was actually excited to try something new because we had been driving the Williams what seemed like eternity. I think it was like 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, something like that. So it was nice to jump into something new, and there was like the ERS, DRS, all these kind of things you had to figure out. And I think the last or the first year was yeah, I think everyone was figuring it out, and looking back, I think yeah, there was a lot of improvements. If you knew everything you knew at the end of that season, it would have been a lot easier. But yeah, it was a nice change of pace. I think looking back now, I really enjoyed the Williams, just the driving experience. It was a lot more nimble, of course, and yeah, I kind of like that. So yeah,
I do think though that the McLaren is maybe the car that saw maybe your most memorable win in the iRacing World Championship. Also one of the final wins as well at Watkins Glen with a last lap pass on Mitchell de Jong. How fond of memories do you have when you think about the racing both in that Williams and the McLaren open wheelers?
yeah, it's funny. I was actually just thinking before this interview that what's the race I remember the most from those years, and I have to say the one you mentioned, Watkins Glen, that was such an intense race, every lap pushing to the limit. Yeah, I think that's the one that I remember right now. There were some good races with the Williams. one that comes to mind is Okayama. That was like more of a tactical race, I would say, like 3 stops versus 2 stops. But there are so many races, it's impossible to remember them all. So especially like they are most from 10 years ago or so. So yeah, but yeah, a lot of fun races.
I think it helps when you have 50 iRacing World Championship wins as well. We were talking just before we went live, Gregor. What's the last couple of years been like for you? Of course, when the Grand Prix World Championship came to an end, I think it's fair to say you didn't really enjoy the car, the Porsche 911 Cup car, and didn't really want to spend too much time on that Porsche Esports Super Cup. What have you been doing in the last handful of years?
Just working, I guess. Normal life outside sim racing. I mean, I've been doing some laps here and there just for the fun of it, I guess. So, but yeah, I was always, I guess, an open wheel guy, so didn't really enjoy the Porsche Cup so much. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing some laps here and there just to try to keep up the pace a bit. In case I make a comeback at some point, we'll see. But no plans at the moment. But yeah, we'll see in the future if there's some nice, fun championship or fun car to drive. That's the most important thing for me.
Thank you so much for your time, Gregor. It was a wonderful sim racing career you had, and we are honored to be able to recognize all of those accomplishments here in the Vco Simmy Awards Hall of Fame.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, it means a lot to me to receive this award. So yeah, thanks a lot.
To close out the Vco Simmy Awards for 2022, we talk to our boss, the CEO, Florian Hasper. Florian, it's been a crazy 2022. We started in January with the Esports Racing World Cup, and we haven't stopped since then. What do we have to look forward to in 2023?
Well, I mean, first to look back at 22 and also look back at the Simmy Awards this year. I mean, to be honest, the Simmy Awards show really, rounds off the VCO year, if you want. I mean, it started as a crazy idea in 2020 when we started and pretty much wanted to do everything that no one else had done before. So the Simmies are a great example for that. And we haven't stopped there. So we created so many new things. Arjuna, the two of us, Mike Yao in the background, Hugo Luis, Race Spot. I mean, we have always come up with crazy bits. Then Niels Naujoks joined us, and then he came up with even more crazy stuff. So to be honest, just to sum it all up, this is the best thing that I personally have ever done. It's like creating joy and fun whenever we do something. It also creates goosebumps and stage fright. I don't know if this is the right term, because so many things can go wrong. Often they go wrong, and then we are in the line of fire of teams and drivers. But what I must say is at the end of the year, we stand here again. We have tried so many new things, and I think that the community is still okay with us and really embraces what we try to do with them. And this is the best, praise that we can get. And I'm just so happy. And 22 has been crazy, and 23 also will be a crazy one again.
I do want to touch on something that we've just closed up with, the VCO Pro Sim Infinity. That maybe is one of the craziest concepts that we've worked on over the course of the year. 24 races in 24 hours. And that's really one where we've seen the community feedback in the first running of the event in May carry forward to December as well. And that, I think, exemplifies the approach that VCO has. It's not just about sim racing, it's about esports racing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about having fun, enjoying what we do there. And I mean, yes, there is getting more professionalism into sim racing and esports racing everywhere. Yeah, but I think the combination of acknowledging that it's a fun affair for most of the drivers out there, most of the teams. Yeah, it's great that there are 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that have a, let's say, works manufacturer connection or whatever. But then there are thousands and thousands of people who are just enjoying sim racing and loving to play and to win a race and so on, and just to participate or race against the best of the best. And considering all this, I mean, Infinity is a great example for this. We have the top teams in there, but we also have teams that are much smaller that just do it for fun, and then they they take on the burden of racing 24 hours, and it is tiring. Also tiring to watch normally. Normally, I never survive a 24-hour race anymore because I'm too old. Yeah, so I'm falling asleep even at VCO events. But Infinity is different because it just keeps you awake. It just keeps you forgetting about time to a certain degree. And at the end, you are there on Saturday in the Pro Sim case, 7 o'clock, and say, okay, what has happened over the past 24 hours? So, I mean, it takes a big effort from everyone involved to make it happen, but people enjoyed it. The messages we got were amazing, and I mean, yeah, definitely the most fun and the most tiresome activation that we've done in 22.
A lot of people will know what's in store for the start of 2023, VCO LFM Flex Stream, the running of the second Esports Racing World Cup in person in Germany, Arcadia at Hamburg, of course. But there's some news that you're excited to be able to share today as we get started with another year of iRacing special events.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we had announced on Thursday already on social media, but now I think I can just give some background on it. The Grand Slams, the VCO iRacing Grand Slams will enter, I think it's the third year. Is it the third or even fourth? So yeah, we will partner with iRacing for the major special events. They're all IMSA related, by the way. So it's Daytona, Sebring, Watkins Glen, and Road Atlanta. And I mean, Daytona is new to the list, yeah, because it's the biggest, I would say, iRacing special event out there. It's at the beginning of the year, so thousands of people are driving it. So this will be special for us. Big thanks to the guys at iRacing again for letting us team up with them for these events, because yeah, this is not something ordinary, I would say. So they let us they allow us to participate in the connection or connecting with their biggest events. So Daytona, I'm really looking forward to. The problem is there's a clash with Flexstream, yeah, which is a different platform, which is ACC. Another project that I really love. I mean, so many innovation or so much innovation in there. Crazy race that we had last time around at Monza. So yeah, we will find a way to make both races work, yeah, and to have a great broadcast using the wonderful command center on Twitch again and showing multiple races on multiple platforms at the same time. So this will be a special weekend. Yeah, and as you said, ERL is also going to continue, and the World Cup. I mean, this will be a huge one, live event in Hamburg. To be honest, maybe I will have a tear in my eye when I'm thinking about myself standing in front of 60, 70 amazing drivers from all over the world in one place, and then fighting for the title. Seeing you, Arjuna, live and in person, Mike as well, and all the other great guys in the background. So I think this will be the absolute highlight of VCO's history over the past 3 years then. So yeah, Hamburg will be a dream come true.
It's been a crazy year in 2022. You say that you get tired during the events, but I can speak from personal experience. You maybe have more energy than all the drivers combined at times. Thank you for all your hard work, Florian. It's a great way to close out the year celebrating the community here in the 2022 VCO Simmy Awards. Well, once again, the Simmy Awards are in the books. 11 worthy winners, and for the third year in a row, you, our VCO community, have made it all happen. Almost 5,000 votes played out, of course, in our voting phase, but we must, of course, thank our jury as well. Luca Monroe out of Overtake.gg, Tom Harrison Lord representing Traction.gg, Nathan Quinn for the race, David Perel for the SimGrid, Steve Worrell for Sim Racing Grand Prix, and last but not least, Tom Bunton for Grid Finder. We are so glad that you've joined us for the roller coaster that has been 2022. It's time for our team at VCO to recharge our batteries, but not for very long. We're back racing on the 7th of January for round 3 of VCO LFM Flex Stream. So join us on twitch.tv/VCO Esports for what is bound to be a crazy 6 hours of racing. Also, don't forget that all roads lead to the Esports Racing World Cup in 2023. Live and in person from Arcadia in Hamburg. We'll be there from the 24th to the 26th of February to see if Team Redline can defend their throne or if someone else will be crowned the Esports Racing World Champions. For now, though, it's time to say farewell. To you and yours, we wish you a happy holidays. We cannot wait to see you once again in 2023 when we'll go racing for another crazy year in the world of VCO Esports.